Most vehicles are built to last maybe a decade, maybe 150,000 miles if you're lucky. But then there are trucks, not just any trucks, but legends. These are the ones that keep running long after the paint fades, the odometer rolls over, and even after the house you parked them next to has crumbled away. Farmers rely on them, construction crews abuse them, and families pass them down from generation to generation. These trucks are more than machines, they're lifelines. Today, we're counting down 15 trucks that can outlast your house. Some are American icons, others are global legends, but all of them share one thing in common. With the right care, they simply refuse to die. Number 15, Ford Ranger, 1993 to 2011. The Ford Ranger wasn't flashy. It wasn't built to win drag races or impress neighbors with chrome. But from 1993 through 2011, the Ranger earned a reputation as one of the most durable compact pickups ever sold in America. Mechanics still nod with respect when they see one roll into the shop, often with 300,000 miles or more on the clock. The secret was simplicity. The base 2.3-liter four-cylinder and the 3.0-liter Vulcan 5.6 weren't powerful, but they were incredibly tough. These engines could run on neglected oil changes, rough gas, and hard driving without giving up. Owners often joked that the body would rust away before the engine quit. Transmissions were equally dependable. The manual 5 speeds were nearly indestructible, while the automatic versions were solid if maintained. Add in a simple leaf spring suspension and rugged frame, and you had a truck that could handle abuse on farms, job sites, and city streets. Another reason the Ranger could outlast your house: parts availability. With millions sold, parts are cheap and everywhere, making it easy to keep these trucks alive for decades. Even junkyards across America are filled with donor Rangers, keeping older ones on the road. For Americans in their 50s and beyond, the Ranger was often a first truck, a work truck, or the trusty second vehicle that never failed. To this day, older Rangers are still used as daily drivers, proving that sometimes basic and boring is actually the secret to immortality. And while the Ranger proved small trucks could last forever, Chevy had its own compact pickup that became a household name for reliability. Number 14, Chevy S10, 1982 to 2004. The Chevy S10 was General Motors' answer to the compact pickup craze of the 1980s and 90s. It was designed to be affordable, practical, and simple. And in the process, it became one of the longest-lasting small trucks America ever produced. Available with engines like the legendary 2.5-liter Iron Duke and the rock-solid 4.3-liter V6, the S10 earned its place as a truck that could handle abuse. Farmers loved them because they were cheap to buy, easy to fix, and reliable in the long run. Construction crews used them as beaters that somehow never stopped running, even after hauling loads they weren't designed for. One of the biggest reasons the S10 lasted so long was its rugged drivetrain. The 4.3-liter V6, in particular, was shared with countless GM cars and trucks, giving it a massive parts network. Even today, mechanics can easily find affordable replacement parts, keeping S10s alive decades after they rolled off the line. Owners often tell stories of S10s crossing 300,000 miles with only basic maintenance. The frames could rust in northern states, but mechanically, these trucks just kept going. The S10 also paved the way for successors like the Chevy Colorado, But for many older U.S. drivers, the original S10 still holds a special place in memory. It was the little truck that could, and did, outlast almost everything else on the road. But if the S10 was a survivor, Nissan's legendary Hardbody took small truck toughness to a level that made it famous worldwide. Number 13. Nissan Hardbody D21, 1986 to 1997. If you grew up in the 1980s or 90s, chances are you saw or owned a Nissan Hardbody D21. The nickname came from its double-walled bed and reputation for toughness, and it wasn't just marketing hype. These compact pickups earned worldwide fame for durability that bordered on unbelievable. The Hardbody's engines were legendary. The Z24 inline-4 and later the KA24E were underpowered by modern standards, but they were nearly indestructible. Owners routinely pushed them past 400,000 miles with nothing more than oil changes and basic care. In some rural towns across America, you can still find these trucks hauling wood, towing small trailers, or running errands decades after production ended. One of the secrets was simplicity. The Hardbody had very few electronic components to fail. The manual transmissions were bulletproof, and the four-wheel drive versions came with stout transfer cases and axles that could handle serious off-road abuse. In fact, the Hardbody became a favorite of outdoor enthusiasts and small business owners alike. Landscapers, farmers, and even off-road racers swore by its reliability. Many American owners compared it favorably to Toyota's small pickups, and in some cases, preferred it for being cheaper and easier to maintain. Rust was the biggest enemy, especially in northern climates, but mechanically, the D21 was practically unkillable. Nissan's reputation for reliability in the U.S. was built in large part on this truck. For many over 50 drivers, the Hardbody wasn't just a truck. It was a companion that stuck around through decades of hard work. Even today, the D21 is a popular choice among collectors and off-road enthusiasts who know it will still run long after newer trucks have hit the junkyard. And if you think Nissan's Hardbody was unkillable, wait until you see the truck that Top Gear tried to destroy and failed. Number 12. Toyota Hilux. The Toyota Hilux isn't just a truck, it's a legend. While it hasn't always been sold under that name in the U.S., its DNA lives on through the Toyota Tacoma. Worldwide, the Hilux is known as the truck you simply cannot kill. Mechanics in Africa, Asia, and South America still see 1980s Hilux models running today with 500,000 miles on them. Why does it last so long? Simplicity and over-engineering. The Hilux's small four-cylinder engines, like the 22R and later diesels, were built to take abuse. They could run on poor-quality fuel, in extreme heat or freezing cold, and just keep going. The manual transmissions and stout drivetrains were designed for rugged conditions, not suburban streets. The Hilux became famous after appearing on Top Gear, where hosts tried to destroy one by drowning it in the ocean, setting it on fire, and dropping it from a building. Each time, the truck still ran. That cemented its reputation worldwide. Even in the U.S., where it influenced the Tacoma, older imported Hilux trucks are sought after by enthusiasts because they simply last. They're the kind of truck you can park next to your house for 20 years, and when you finally need it, it will still fire up. For Americans who grew up in the 70s and 80s, the Hilux was the little foreign truck that embarrassed domestic competitors with its indestructibility. And globally, it's still considered the gold standard of longevity. But if the Hilux is the global durability champion, its U.S. cousin, the Toyota Tacoma, became the ultimate long-lasting truck on American soil. Number 11. Toyota Tacoma. The Toyota Tacoma is to the U.S. what the Hilux is to the rest of the world. Launched in 1995, the Tacoma quickly earned a reputation as the mid-size truck that simply doesn't quit. Mechanics will tell you it's not unusual to see Tacomas with 300,000 to 400,000 miles still running strong. The first-generation Tacomas, 1995 to 2004, were especially bulletproof. With engines like the 2.4-liter and 2.7-liter four-cylinders and the 3.4-liter V6, they were underpowered compared to today's standards, but they were nearly unbreakable. Owners used them for construction jobs, farm work, and off-roading, and they just kept going. Even the second generation, 2005 to 2015, models held up remarkably well. Yes, some had frame rust issues in northern states, but Toyota even issued buybacks and frame replacements, proving how seriously they took longevity. The engines themselves, especially the 4.0-liter V6, often surpassed 300,000 miles with basic care. The Tacoma became so beloved that used models sell for absurd prices. A 15-year-old Tacoma with 200,000 miles can still fetch over $10,000 on the used market. Why? Because buyers know it'll keep going for another decade. For Americans over 50, the Tacoma became the perfect truck. Small enough to park easily, tough enough to handle real work, and simple enough to last decades. It's not just a vehicle. It's an investment that outlives many owners' expectations. And while the Tacoma set the mid-size standard, Ford's F-150, with its bulletproof 4.9-liter inline-six, proved that even America's best-selling truck could outlast entire generations. Number 10. Ford F-150, 90s to 2000s. The Ford F-150 has been America's best-selling vehicle for over 40 years, but among all its many engines, one stands out as nearly indestructible. The 4.9-liter inline-six offered from the 1960s through the 1990s. In the 90s and early 2000s, these trucks cemented their place as some of the longest-lasting vehicles on U.S. roads. The 4.9-liter inline-six was not flashy. It only made around 150 horsepower, but it cranked out torque and was built like a tank. With a simple cast-iron block, timing chain, not a belt, and minimal electronics, it could run for 500,000 miles or more if maintained. Mechanics still call it one of the most reliable truck engines ever built. Farmers loved these F-150s because they could idle all day, haul loads across fields, and start in the dead of winter. Fleet buyers loved them because they were cheap to maintain and rarely broke down. And everyday owners loved them because they just worked. Transmissions and drivetrains paired with the 4.9-liter were equally robust. Many of these trucks are still in use today, decades after their owners' homes have been remodeled or rebuilt. The F-150 with the inline-six wasn't fancy. It didn't have touchscreen dashboards or turbocharged engines, but it represented what a true truck should be: simple, tough, and everlasting. For many Americans over 50, this is the truck they remember most fondly, the one that never let them down. And while Ford proved its best-selling truck could last forever, GMC's Sierra, with its simple V8s, showed that GM could also build trucks that still run decades later. Number 9. GMC Sierra 1500, 1999 to 2006. The GMC Sierra 1500 has always been Chevy's twin under the skin, but from 1999 to 2006, the classic generation earned a reputation all its own. These trucks weren't overloaded with fancy electronics or complicated engineering. Instead, they were powered by some of GM's most dependable small-block V8s, like the 4.8-liter and 5.3-liter Vortec engines, which made them nearly unkillable. Owners and mechanics alike praise these Sierras for going 300,000 to 400,000 miles with nothing more than regular maintenance. The engines ran smoothly, handled abuse, and rarely suffered catastrophic issues. Even the transmissions, especially the 4L60E, held up well if serviced on time. The Sierra's simple suspension design, strong frames, and easy-to-source parts made them a favorite among American truck owners who wanted something reliable without breaking the bank. Rust could be a problem in northern states, but mechanically, these trucks just kept going. Another reason the Sierra outlasts so many vehicles is its simplicity. Compared to today's trucks loaded with sensitive electronics and turbocharged engines, the classic Sierra is refreshingly straightforward. Many owners do their own repairs in their garages, further extending the truck's life. Even today, 20-plus years later, you'll see plenty of these Sierras still working on farms, job sites, and suburban driveways. For U.S. buyers over 50, it's a reminder of a time when trucks were tough, dependable, and easy to keep alive. And if GMC's V8s could run forever, Dodge's Cummins-powered Ram 2500 proved that diesel engines could take truck durability to a whole new level. Number 8. Dodge Ram 2500, 1994 to 2002. The Dodge Ram 2500, with the legendary 5.9-liter Cummins diesel, is often described as the truck that changed everything. Introduced in the 1994 redesign, it paired bold styling with an engine so tough that many are still running strong decades later. For many truck fans, this isn't just a reliable pickup, it's a lifetime companion. The 5.9-liter Cummins was a straight-six turbo diesel that was simple, strong, and built to last. Unlike complex modern diesels, it had fewer emissions controls and electronics to fail. Mechanics often point out that these engines can run for 500,000 miles or more with basic care. Some owners even report trucks still pulling trailers at 700,000 plus miles. The transmissions weren't always as strong as the engine, but many owners upgraded to heavy-duty units, making the whole truck nearly unstoppable. Suspension components were equally stout, designed to handle serious towing and hauling without wearing out prematurely. Farmers, ranchers, and contractors loved the Ram 2500 because it could tow heavy loads day after day without breaking down. Its reputation grew so strong that the 5.9-liter Cummins became a badge of honor in the truck community. Even today, used models with high mileage sell for premium prices because buyers know they still have life left in them. The 1994 to 2002 Ram 2500 isn't just a truck that outlasts houses. It's a truck that outlasts businesses, farms, and sometimes even generations of ownership. For mechanics, it's one of the rare engines they enjoy working on because it's straightforward and rarely fails. And if the Cummins-powered Ram was built to last forever, Ford answered with a diesel of its own that became one of the most legendary engines in pickup history. Number 7. Ford Super Duty, 1999 to 2003. Ask any Ford mechanic what the most reliable diesel ever made was, and chances are they'll say the 7.3-liter Power Stroke. Found in Ford Super Duty trucks between 1999 and 2003, this engine built its reputation on being nearly indestructible. These trucks didn't just last, they often kept running past the million-mile mark. The 7.3-liter Power Stroke was simple compared to later diesels. It didn't have fragile emission systems or complicated turbos. Instead, it had a cast-iron block, forged internals, and fuel injection that just worked. It could handle towing, idling, and brutal workloads without skipping a beat. Owners regularly report these trucks surpassing 500,000 miles with the original engine. Fleet operators, farmers, and contractors kept them running because they were dependable, easy to repair, and rarely suffered catastrophic issues. Even when they did need work, parts were widely available and relatively affordable. The rest of the truck was just as tough. The frames, axles, and suspensions were built to handle serious punishment. It's not unusual to see 20-year-old Super Duty trucks still working on farms or pulling RVs across the country. The 7.3-liter Power Stroke became so beloved that when Ford discontinued it in 2003, used prices skyrocketed. Even today, clean examples sell for shocking amounts because buyers know they're buying a truck that can still last decades. For Americans over 50, this truck represents the golden age of diesel pickups, when they were built to last forever without the complexity of modern technology. It's not just a truck that outlasts houses, it's a truck that outlasts entire lifetimes of work. And if Ford's diesel legend proved nearly immortal, Chevy's heavy-duty Silverado, with its Duramax power plant, was another truck built to go the distance. Number 6. Chevy Silverado, 2050 HD, 2001 to 2006. When GM introduced the Duramax diesel in 2001, it instantly transformed the Silverado 2500 HD into a serious heavy-duty competitor. The first generation, known as the LB7 Duramax, became legendary for its combination of power, efficiency, and longevity. To this day, these trucks are praised by mechanics as some of the toughest GM ever built. The LB7 featured a 6.6-liter turbo diesel V8 designed to run forever. Many owners report trucks lasting 500,000 miles or more with only routine maintenance. Fleet operators and farmers especially loved them, since the engines could idle for hours or tow heavy loads daily without issue. There was one weak point: the injectors. Early LB7 injectors were prone to cracking and failing, leading to expensive replacements. But once upgraded with better aftermarket parts, the engine itself was practically bulletproof. Mechanics often say that aside from injectors, these trucks are nearly flawless. The rest of the Silverado 2500 HD was built just as tough. Heavy-duty frames, Allison automatic transmissions, and strong axles made it a favorite for towing RVs, horse trailers, and work equipment. Even 20 years later, it's common to see these trucks hauling across American highways. What made the LB7 Duramax special wasn't just how long it lasted, but how usable it stayed. Unlike some older diesels, it offered smooth power and decent fuel economy, meaning owners actually enjoyed driving them. That's why used examples are still sought after, often selling for premium prices even with 300,000 plus miles. And while Chevy's Duramax proved heavy-duty trucks could last a lifetime, Toyota's Tundra took durability to such extremes that one even hit 1 million miles with the original engine. Number 5. Toyota Tundra, 2007 to 2013. The Toyota Tundra doesn't always get the same spotlight as the Detroit Big Three, but when it comes to longevity, it might just be the king. In fact, Toyota famously celebrated a 2007 Tundra that reached 1 million miles on its original engine and transmission, a record that cemented the truck's place in history. The 4.7-liter and 5.7-liter V8 engines in these Tundras were built for durability, not flash. They could run under heavy loads, hot weather, and long hauls without skipping a beat. Many owners report crossing 400,000 miles with nothing but basic maintenance like oil changes and timing belt replacements. What set the Tundra apart was Toyota's engineering philosophy. Every part of the truck, from the suspension to the drivetrain, was designed to be overbuilt. Owners often joke that Toyota built it too well, because many of these trucks outlasted the businesses, farms, or families they served. The interiors held up surprisingly well, too. Unlike some competitors where trim falls apart after a decade, Tundra cabins stayed solid, making them feel newer than they really were. That's part of why used Tundras hold such high value. Even with 200,000 miles, they sell for more than rival trucks with half that mileage. For mechanics, the Tundra is almost boring, because it rarely shows up for anything other than oil changes or routine service. For owners, that's exactly what makes it one of the greatest long-lasting trucks ever built. But while Toyota showed modern trucks could reach 1 million miles, Ford's heavy-duty classics from the 1960s and 70s are still running today, more than 40 years after rolling off the line. Number 4. Ford F-250/F-350, 1967 to 1979. The classic Ford F-250 and F-350 trucks from the late 1960s through the 1970s weren't built for style points. They were built for one purpose: to work. And decades later, many of them are still doing exactly that. These trucks are living proof that sometimes the simplest designs last the longest. Engines like the 300 inline-6, the 351 MV8, and the legendary 460 big block V8 powered these workhorses. They weren't high-tech, but they were massively overbuilt. With cast-iron blocks, carburetors, and minimal electronics, they could run indefinitely with basic maintenance. Farmers and ranchers still praise these engines for starting on cold mornings after sitting all winter. The frames and suspensions were equally indestructible. These trucks were designed for heavy loads, and even after decades of use, many still handle towing and hauling duties. You'll still find them on farms, in construction yards, and even restored by collectors who value their toughness. One reason these trucks last so long is repairability. Unlike modern trucks with cramped engine bays and delicate electronics, the classic F-250 and F-350 are straightforward to fix. Mechanics love them because you can work on them with basic tools, keeping them on the road for generations. For Americans over 50, these trucks aren't just vehicles. They're memories of a time when Ford trucks represented pure durability. Many are still parked next to barns, still hauling hay, still earning their keep more than 40 years later. Truly, these trucks outlasted not just houses, but in some cases, entire lifetimes. And while Ford's classics proved old-school toughness, Dodge's heavy-duty Ram 3500 with Cummins power took longevity into the modern diesel era. Number 3. Dodge Ram 3500, 1994 to 2007. If there's one truck that defines American diesel toughness, it's the Dodge Ram 3500 powered by the legendary Cummins engines. From the mid-1990s through the 2000s, these trucks became icons of longevity. Farmers, ranchers, and haulers swore by them. And for good reason. They were built to work every single day, for decades. The 5.9-liter Cummins turbo diesel was at the heart of this reputation. With its straight-six design, cast-iron block, and minimal electronics, it was designed for durability. Owners regularly report these engines surpassing 500,000 miles, and some even crossing the million-mile threshold. Mechanics often say the body of the truck will rust away before the engine quits. The Ram 3500's heavy-duty frames, solid axles, and rugged transmissions made them perfect for towing and hauling. Many were put to work pulling fifth-wheel trailers, cattle haulers, and construction equipment, jobs that destroy lesser trucks. And yet, the Cummins-powered Rams kept going. Even today, used examples with 300,000-plus miles still sell for premium prices. Buyers know they're not just getting an old truck, they're getting a machine with years of life left in it. For U.S. truck fans, the Dodge Ram 3500 from this era is more than a vehicle. It's a symbol of unshakable toughness. A truck that doesn't just outlast houses, it outlasts businesses, farms, and even multiple generations of owners. And while Dodge and Ford built heavy-duty monsters, Chevy's CK Series proved that even half-ton and three-quarter-ton trucks from decades past can still be working today. Number 2. Chevy CK Series, 1960s to 1990s. The Chevy CK Series is one of the most beloved truck lines in American history, running from the 1960s through the late 1990s. For over 3 decades, these trucks were the backbone of farms, small businesses, and suburban households across the U.S. And many of them are still going strong today. One of the secrets to their longevity was the small-block Chevy Vive 8. Engines like the 305, 327, and especially the 350 were incredibly durable and easy to maintain. Mechanics praise them for their simplicity. Carburetors, cast-iron blocks, and minimal electronics meant fewer things to go wrong. The frames and suspensions were equally tough, designed to handle both work and play. From plowing snow in northern states to hauling lumber in rural towns, the CK trucks proved they could survive almost anything. Many were passed down from father to son, becoming family heirlooms as much as work tools. Parts availability is another reason these trucks last so long. With millions produced, replacement parts are cheap and easy to find, keeping older CKs alive decades after they rolled off assembly lines. For Americans over 50, these trucks aren't just memories, they're living history. Many still own or drive CKs today, and seeing one still hauling a trailer or parked in a driveway is a reminder of when trucks were built to last forever. And while Chevy's CK trucks became American icons, the number 1 spot goes to a global workhorse so tough it's still being built today: the Toyota Land Cruiser pickup. Number 1. Toyota Land Cruiser pickup. At the very top of the list is a truck that has become legendary around the world: the Toyota Land Cruiser 70 Series pickup. While not always common in the U.S., Its reputation is so strong that even American truck enthusiasts respect it as one of the toughest vehicles ever made. Introduced in 1984, the Land Cruiser pickup was designed for the harshest environments on Earth. From the deserts of the Middle East to the mines of Australia and the mountains of Africa, this truck became the ultimate workhorse. And here's the kicker. It's still being built today in many markets, virtually unchanged. The engines are simple diesels, often inline fours or straight sixes, designed to run on low-quality fuel and last forever. Owners regularly push them past 500,000 miles, and many are still running strong after 30-plus years. Mechanics in remote regions praise them because they're easy to fix with basic tools, and they rarely break in the first place. The frames, axles, and suspensions are overbuilt for heavy loads and brutal terrain. That's why humanitarian organizations, military units, and rural farmers all over the world rely on them. When your survival depends on a truck, you choose the Land Cruiser pickup. Even in the U.S., where these trucks are rare, enthusiasts import them for one reason. They know it's a vehicle that will outlast not only houses, but maybe even entire towns. For truck fans, the Land Cruiser pickup isn't just the longest-lasting truck ever built. It's proof that when you design for toughness first, you create a legend that never dies. And there you have it. 15 trucks that can outlast your house. From compact pickups like the Ford Ranger and Nissan Hardbody to American workhorses like the F-150 and CK Series, to global legends like the Hilux and Land Cruiser, these trucks prove that true durability never goes out of style. For Americans over 50, many of these trucks aren't just names on a list. They're part of your own history. They carried your families, hauled your loads, and stood in the driveway long after newer vehicles came and went. Which of these trucks do you think deserves the title of toughest of all time? Share your story in the comments. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us for more truck legends every week.